Oh, welcome in, friends. What's going on? It's January 4th, 2026. Yeah, what's going on, Esther, Susan B., Callie? Good to see you. Bonnie Randall, Steph Warrior, Pam Fogel, of course. Good to see you. Welcome in. 1 minute early. Hey, what's up? Everything. Everything is up. Somebody's passing around. People are in the background talking about Kent again, in that sense. People don't like him because he's a simp for Daniel, the obvious suspect here, the guilty parties. He's a simp for them, right? And people keep up digging up all kinds of information. If you've got information on him, just send it. You don't have to go into anybody's chat and try to brag about it. Just send it to whoever. The lobster claw, Holly Jolly says. The old lobster claw. The Pictou Lobster Carnival is an annual 3-day seafood festival held in Pictou, Nova Scotia. Sounds very lovely. On the picturesque Northumberland shore. Established in 1934, it's one of Nova Scotia's longest running and most beloved signature events. Sounds delicious. Celebrating the end of the local lobster fishing season, maritime culture, music, and community spirit. In Kent, playing his skin flute. Often called Nova Scotia's premier seafood festival, it draws visitors for its mix of family-friendly fun, competitive events tied to the fishing industry, human trafficking, and plenty of fresh Atlantic lobster. Key highlights are lobster-themed activities like boat races and banding competitions, trap hauling contests, and all-you-can-eat lobster dinners. Oh, I want to sign me up for that, please. Does sound like a lovely time. The next one, look for around July 3rd to 5th, 2026. Dates can shift slightly year to year. We'll keep an eye out for that, especially 2026. So, it got me to thinking old Kent and maybe Kent and Derwood know each other through music and the band that they play in, because Jordan always loves to talk about how he's a drummer in a band. They play music down in his trailer by the lake in the back there in Westville. Now that I see Kent on the cover of this Lobster Fest, theming himself as Lobster Claw, which is bizarre. Maybe they're all in a big old band together. You know what they do in bands? They're in a boy band together, like in sync, only they're out of sync. Maybe it's more like who's a great boy band? New Kids on the Block, NKOTB. There's Kent on the cover of Tiger Beat magazine, just where he's always wanted to be. He still has Teen Beat and Tiger Beat pictures up on his wall. Who's the latest heartthrob? It's old Kent playing his skin flute and single string bass tied to a wash drum. Doomp, 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 doomp. Little maritime culture. Fucking right, kitty. Gonna go down there to the Lobster Fest and we're gonna light it up. Even the guy said that he signed him up. He's gonna come down and rock the festival. It's like Kent was throwing a promo. Nobody's ever heard of his band before, but he's just dropped his first album after lockdowns. I wonder how it turned out. I wonder how it went. Now it's got me interested. I gotta see it. Maybe I'd be surprised. maybe he can really, he says in his little article of his that he's going to rock the place. So I'm expecting to hear some like Stevie Ray Vaughan like licks. Some real deep fucking hardcore shit here coming out of Pictou County, Nova Scotia. Not just Kent on his, you know. It's probably Kent on his iPhone with GarageBand. Oh shit. He got crabs in his crack, all right, Silver Gold. Which is down, by the way. Derwood said he tunes Patty's guitar for her too. Oh yeah, get out of here, Bonnie. Derwood said that he tunes Patty's guitar for her too. That's a sexual. That's innuendo. It has to be. Oh shit! You could just plug it into a tuner and tune it yourself, you know, or get to learn how to tune it yourself. Bing, 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 bing. But no, we need Derwood to come over and tune my guitar for me before I play. What, he's like Patty's roadie? Did he really say that? That has to be sexual innuendo. Like, oh, I'll go over there to tune her guitar. You want me to stop by? Keep your guitars tuned? Who the fuck does that? That's stalker-like behavior. Well, for Cat, it's any excuse to be around people with small children. Don't worry, all the kids already know how sketchy he is. Yeah, silver gold guitars. You have any extra tuners hanging around in your case? So you usually have to put a 9-volt battery in it, therefore. But not if you have Derwood around. That's pretty funny. Any excuse to go over there to Patty's, is it? So what's all the latest about... what is this? I was over on Shannon's. We were talking about what? This. Bradley Wong's remarks to old Derwood, claiming to somebody's live chat that Daniel confessed to Brad that he was driving around all night and who he was with. Did you know? Did you know? Oh, shit. I think I know Brad a lot better than you do, Sonny. Oh, fuck, he's just a social butterfly. Look at what that says on your screen. It says, no, Daniel did not say that to me in that sense. I've never spoke to Daniel other than the one time on somebody's live where I told him he was a lying piece of shit and that his day is coming. It doesn't get any more clear than that. As entertaining as it was to get. It serves more of a purpose. It's a perfect distraction. And it doesn't really matter at the end of the day what this asshole says. It's how he's positioned himself. The things that he's saying. You can't walk that back now. You can't walk it back. You can't flip sides at this point, Derwood. Doesn't matter what he has to say. He just loves to take the attention away from whatever the topic is that a person is trying to get at, especially on a YouTube live panel. They're sluts. They're whores. They can't stay away from YouTube. They are in all the chats, everybody's chat, needing to, usually distract if you can stand to be around them long enough. They're looking to interfere and manipulate. Brad should click him too, Bonnie says. Didn't he smoke raw in Mexico the other day? I don't know. Oh, ho, ho, ho. What's up, DEA? Gonna keep this right down here. There. We'll put that on your little fucking paper there, douchebag. Put that right down there too. It's like the friendly giant. Put a chair in front of the fire for you. There we go. Remember this? What Malaya said?
I'm just staying as hopeful as possible. I want them home. I want to hold them. And I want them home. What happened was we woke up, I heard them playing in the next room beside us, and I was drifting in and out of sleep. And they're not the type of kids that we tell them not to go outside on their own. We always make sure that we're out there with them, watching them, and they happen to just get out that sliding door and we can't hear it when it opens. And they were outside playing, but we weren't aware of it at the time, and the next thing we knew, it was quiet.
So already we got a problem. Already. If this is your story, it's not a very good one. They're outside playing, you just weren't aware of it? That's the answer. We just weren't aware of it at the time. But go back a little bit earlier. It's circular. You're not saying anything to us, honey baby.
Them not to go outside on their own. We always make sure that we're out there with them, watching them, and they...
Priority is self. Oh, this is a one-off. Usually we're not the types of people that let our kids walk very far or clean up our property.
Drifting in and out of sleep, and they're not the type of kids that we tell them not to go outside on their...
You're drifting in and out of sleep. Why is that important to this story? Why is drifting in and out of sleep significant to all of this? Because it's somehow a justification in your minds as to why the kids are gone? Come on. Such a sad thing to hear come from Malaya's mouth. Now, we can tell, you can tell at home, that this is probably rehearsed, forced down her throat. But it would indicate that she would know what happened to Jack and Lily at that point in time. There's nothing direct in your language.
And I want them home. What happened was we woke up, I heard them playing in the next room beside us, and I was drifting in and out of sleep, and they're not the type of kids that we tell them not to go outside on their own. We always make sure that we're out there with them, watching them, and they happen to just get out that sliding door and we can't hear it when it opens.
Well, that was fairly clear. You have to put that door in there. We can't hear it. They voluntarily chose to leave the house, putting all the blame on the children that are now missing and can't speak for themselves. That's what this gal is taking up most of her time speaking about, putting the blame back onto the kids and how they're not that type of parent. So she's really pissing in your ear and telling you it's raining. Why is any of it significant? They'll never get to that. You can never quite tell. And it goes for the the whole crew. It goes for all three of them that were last there and last around Jack and Lily. What happened the night before? What happened during the phone call with Cindy the day before? Did she actually see the kids on that phone call? What happened that evening? Why can't Danny boy remember any of it? And why doesn't he think any of it's significant? Rather than try to remember. That's how desperate he is to to avoid speaking directly to what would otherwise be very easy to speak to? Should you be innocent in anything? Should you not be connected to the disappearance?
Hopeful as possible. I want them home. I want to hold them.
Hopeful as possible is something that you do when you're acting hopeful. I'm going to act hopeful as possible so that way people can sympathize with me a lot easier on the other end of the camera as they're eating dinner. And I have to tell the world exactly why my kids aren't around anymore. I'm just going to have to put the blame back on them because of this sliding door in the back that they got out of and never to be found again. No sign of them. Just one boot print on top of where Janie was raking for something that doesn't even exist. Where and what did you do with Jack and Lily, guys? It's time to speak. It's time to throw that other person under the bus. Nobody here is getting out of this without some sort of culpability, some sort of charge in that sense. Especially that the conspiracy after the fact to cover all of this up is so extensive. You think that not really speaking to what eventually is going to have to be spoken to is buying you some sort of time or never going to happen, you're wrong. Cops haven't even asked them anything tough at this point. Evidence gathering.
And I want them home. What happened was we woke up, I heard them playing in the next room beside us, and I was drifting in and out of sleep, and they're not the type of kids that we tell them not to go outside on their own. We always make sure that we're out there with them, watching them, and they happen to just get out that sliding door, and we can't hear it when it opens. And they were outside playing, but we weren't aware of it at the time, and the next thing we knew, it was quiet, and we get up and I tell him
She doesn't believe what it is that she's telling people here, does she?
partner, Daniel. I tell him, do you hear the kids? And he says no, and we get up instantly. We're looking outside, we're looking everywhere, yelling for them, and I instantly just call 911. I just had the instinct I needed to call. They're both really go-lucky children.
So there we go again, another spot where she avoids speaking directly to the trigger event to all of this. As in, there was no trigger event, as though it's some sort of excuse or it's okay in this circumstance. You don't even want to speak to the trigger event in all of this. It's because this and what she's portraying didn't happen the way that she's portraying it. She didn't seem very confident in the words that she was speaking right there. Yeah, somebody who called in that their kids have walked out and are lost in the back bush. Call your kids in missing. And you want to remain as distant through your language as possible because it's easier to forget and play stupid than it is to get caught up in what would otherwise be a necessity or a necessary lie. Ginger snapped. So what was it, Janie that told M that she heard the children outside? Janie doesn't seem to mention that conversation between her and M. Well, they speak to that differently. Yeah, so at what point in time did they figure that they were outside playing? They were outside playing, but we weren't aware of it at the time. Well, when did you become aware of it? Paula W. in my chat, WQ1KH wants to know, please. And so did the RCMP. Oh, and then you can forward it to Kent, according to Derwood.
talk to anyone. They'll talk your ear off. They will speak to anyone in a store. Everyone. They're just extremely sweet kids. I appreciate the huge search effort going on right now. But we've been pushing for an Amber Alert, which hasn't been issued. Not just that they could possibly be abducted, which it is a possibility that they could have been, but just an alert to let everyone know that they are missing. We had people text me saying that they weren't aware, someone else let them know that they were
explain
missing.
to them,
And it would
explain to
just be
people
nice
why.
if everyone could be alerted. We thought maybe that we found
Avoidance.
tracks, but it's still uncertain. It's been raining and they're probably soaking wet, but with the sun today, I'm hopeful that they are feeling warm.
So she's carrying on as though that they're just out there in the woods just waiting to be picked up and waiting to be found. And she's hoping that they're dry and warm. She's already latching on to unrealistic expectations in this false hope, which is what they're trying to blast onto the nation, the world. This is bullshit. And that entire statement of yours, Malaya, was nonsense. It's bullshit. She knows that. It came through loud and clear. Yeah, her tone, that stuck out to you, Ruby? Which is a possibility they could have been? Yeah, there's just her acknowledging right there she doesn't want to commit to what exactly has gone on. Believe me, at that point in time, if you can't find your kids within 5 or 10 minutes, something else fucking happened. As a parent, you would be saying that. You would be absolutely off the wall, fucking losing it. Where are my children? They were just here a second ago. Now they're not. That's all that really fucking matters. And you've got all of this fancy fucking walking around bullshit circular talk as though any of it actually fucking happened. None of it happened. Malaya, none of it. Something happened the night before where the timeline blatantly cuts off and nobody seems to want to fill in or seem to acknowledge how it would be significant to whatever happened to Jack and Lily in a situation you want people to believe that these kids voluntarily walked out to disappear.
We're all filled with pain and sorrow because we just want them found. We want them home. Everyone loves them. They are definitely verbal, and they do have possible autism, but it's not extreme autism. It's just they have
just enough for you to feel sorry for me and the kids, to overlook the neglect and abuse that's going on within the home and its effect on my children. It's a crime. Listening to her go and express this is listening to a crime. You would never represent that as possible autism as a parent, you detached numbskull. You're trying to label your children.
issues with school, and they don't catch up with the other kids. I just want to remain hopeful.
Yes, Sky Maiden, Brandy.
But there's always, in a mother's mind, you're always thinking the worst. Last night was one of the worst nights because I didn't have them in their beds.
One of the worst nights. I wonder what other worst nights, or what a worse night than that one would have been the night before, many are suggesting.
And I don't want to go through that another night without them.
The last few days have been very stressful. I mean, ever since the Friday morning when we noticed that the children were gone,
Whoops.
Immediately jumped in the vehicle, surveyed all the areas, many dirt roads, many culverts as I could, and waited for the police to get there. As soon as I noticed they weren't there, I immediately jumped right in the vehicle and surveyed all the area, every dirt road, every culvert that I could find. Jack just absolutely loves bugs, dinosaurs, and anything like that.
Oh, there's one of his little episodes. Those are getting to be my favorites as well, guys. Watch him go into an emotional episode for the camera, where he follows up to see if that landed. Did the director approve of that version, or are we going to have to take two on that, honey? Mini Corey Feldman. Daniel, what a bad luck troll. Darwin Award. Paula W., who says one of the worst nights when there can be another worse than any of your children vanishing? Who even brings that up? She's wanting to focus, and she's trying to draw some support. She's trying to draw on your sympathy. Oh, I'm just going through so much right now. Meanwhile, the kids are the victims here, but they can't stop talking about themselves. That's an easy one. Low-hanging fruit, but there's more. Why is he fletching his teeth in the rain in the interview? Because he's tweaking, yo. He's still getting high, and he's still flying from the stuff that Chase dropped off for him on the Saturday. He had to get re-upped. Sarah Jane 86 says she looks as if she's accepted their fate at the time of that interview. Yeah, I would agree with that. She doesn't want to come out and say what it is that she feels, yet she's talking about what she feels and how she feels over it. Here comes this birth of this it and this thing that Daniel and Janie and Malaya don't want to talk directly towards or on, that we keep referencing. But they always get close to it. Get close to it. They want you, they're leading you to water, and they want you to drink it up. It was raining, and he was squinting like the sun was shining. Oh yeah. Well, the rain. Oh yeah. It was just having a hard go of it, JM. Facial contortionist, looking like Gollum out there, looking for his ring. I wonder if the 41 days of the children missing school correlates with something else. I don't know, house music. What is a statement, you mean? I should play it backwards. It's probably summoning the devil. Oh yeah, they'll be facing the music soon enough, Chalty. Did you notice the black pickup behind Malaya, Cindy Clark? The one in the driveway? Yeah, I've been looking at that. I wonder whose that is. Daddy Derwood's? Derwood's been involved since the get-go. You can't trust that guy. She sounds like she's describing a movie or a book with no emotion whatsoever. She just has general detachment. Sounds like somebody who's, not being straightforward about the circumstances, yet wanting to talk about things and giving you all of the possibilities, rather than be genuinely victimized, confused, hurt, and in need of assistance by the RCMP. Believe me, they all would have seen that. There's a big difference between legitimate and illegitimate, just in the nature of how the last people, or the people who called them, respond when they get there. And from all that we've come to hear, they were adamant, and they were not cooperative, and they were standoffish, and they were more engaged in getting more people around them to distract them, under the guise of looking for a couple of kids that they want us to believe just wandered off, all while distancing themselves from really making any sort of decision. These are the parents. Why are you running away from any sort of accountability in all of this? That should have been a non-issue. It should have been a non-issue. But it's a major issue here. Adele667 wants to know, why isn't she screaming, "Where are my children?" Because she already knows where they are. Tambourine 36 says, Danny looks whacked out completely, can barely talk, in your opinion. Golem, definitely, in your opinion, allegedly, he's tried to clean up since then and sounds more coherent, allegedly, in your opinion. You don't have to hide behind that many, and it's okay to have your opinion. And you're right. No one's going to disagree with you. Sarah Jane, I feel like they were awake all night dealing with the aftermath, and they are strung out and just want it over with. Absolutely. And this Bradley Wong and Justin Smith are very, very important eyewitnesses to undermine the alibi of the suspects, the people who don't want to speak, who were last around Jack and Lily. They're key, absolutely key to this whole investigation. But Daniel is adamant on claiming that he doesn't remember when he went to bed, because it's not important, but he was definitely sleeping all night and never woke up until it was early in the morning and the kids were outside playing and never to be seen again. That's when he woke up. Doesn't even want to change or talk in more detail about it for the police or anybody else, as though nothing of it matters, and that's what he wants you to believe. Unfortunately, that's not how this goes. The suspect doesn't get to make the rules as they go, ever. And when they try to, there's a reason for it, and the only answer and the reason for why is their culpability in that matter. Danielle. When Janie said that she heard Daniel yelling for the kids, but Malaya was standing in the driveway, Malaya wasn't calling for the kids. She said there, I don't remember it like that there, Jen Nova. It's talking about a story that really isn't here nor there, because it doesn't really speak to where the freaking kids are. It has everything to speak as though it's important to even know where in the crime scene that any of these individuals were standing, like this is some sort of game of Clue. It doesn't fucking matter. But they're addicted to feeding people information that doesn't matter, and it's become obvious. And it's just how it goes at this point in time. That's the games that they're playing. They don't want to speak to what really happened. Look at how he's misrepresented his substance abuse. He's got all kinds of things to hide in this sense. Now, is Janie just as addicted as Daniel is, I wonder? That's a question that's relevant because of her behavior. So what was Daniel driving around all night from the hours of midnight to 4 or 5 a.m., all within earshot? I wish I'd like to pick Daniel Wong's mind like mono a mono in person. Not just third-hand information. It's loose because you want to get more specific with him. Like, I want him to stand out in his driveway and point. I want to see this. Katie did. I think the bigger dog was Justin's and went home with him when he went back to his wife's day after the kids went missing. Could be Katie. Old Justin doesn't want to have anything to do with this situation. Does he have a lot more to do with it? Probably. It's a strong possibility. Is it necessary to solve any of this in a court of law? Absolutely not. They just need to prove Daniel and Malaya and Janie, all of them or any of them, are lying, and that the kids are no longer alive. They've pretty much officially come out and said that very early on in this, 2 weeks in. They've had to come to that sad realization. And old Derwood likes to take over and distract at that point in time and, add a racist element to all of this, which has been disturbing, as though it was a plausible scenario under the guise of just strictly their people, signifying that Native Americans, no matter what their ethnic background, are all of the same. Them, their people, and they're hiding it out from us, the colonial powers, in that sense. He's such a fucking loser. It makes me sick to even hear him do that. And you can get a sense and figure out Derwood from a mile away, because he can't help but bring in an illogical, what would you call it? Over politicized, but to a fanatical point, and racist views to the comment section or your YouTube live chat for those other creators.
But Lily loves girly things, but she also loves doing everything with Jack, Bugs. They're like best friends, not just brother and sister. And Jack just absolutely loves bugs, dinosaurs, anything like that.
That's not even genuine emotion. Somebody must be shooting pepper spray in the area. They just love dinosaurs and bugs, and that makes me want to cry. Your emotions are mismanaged at this point there, macro boy. Oh, I'm just so heartbroken. I'm out there just searching. Have to keep searching for no apparent reason, like the tweaker he is. Just humming. High AF.
But Lily loves girly things, but she also loves doing everything with Jack, Bugs. They're like best friends, not just brother and sister. I know they took their boots.
Wow, that's like almost word for word the exact same thing. Look at this. Let's go back to this asshole in front here again, where he's crying. I love that. Daniel, congratulations. You've rehearsed this so fucking well. It's like hard to really see the difference. Even the trigger points in the statements. Disingenuous.
Right in the vehicle, and surveyed all the area, every dirt road, every culvert they could find. Jack just absolutely loves bugs, dinosaurs.
Here we go.
Anything like that.
Oh, bugs, dinosaurs.
But Lily loves girly things, but she also loves doing everything with Jack, Bugs. They're like best friends, not just brother and sister. And Jack just absolutely loves bugs, dinosaurs, anything like that. But Lily loves girly things, but she also loves doing everything with Jack, Bugs. They're like best friends, not just brother and sister.
Man, that's so good. That's so good. Hell.
The dogs will go in there and won't find anything?
I know for 100% they won't find anything.
So what do you make of the fact that they are bringing the cadaver dogs in?
Well, I'm actually pretty happy about that, because it's been about 3 months I've been asking for them, and it's just been delayed I guess till now.
Yeah, it's the same interview, 2 different camera angles. I don't think so. Let me check real quick.
But
it didn't seem so. It didn't seem so because it was slightly different. I got to go check. I'll check in a bit.
I know things take time and dogs are hard to get.
So what does this say to you? Because
they're wearing different
they
shirts.
Are dogs searching for human remains.
His shirt collar is getting worn out from the mic.
Well, I know that it's going to be really hard work now that there's so much vegetation in the woods, but I'm pretty happy that they're going to be able to do it. I even hope that they bring more than one dog if they have access to more than one dog.
So what are you happy about? What do you hope this will bring?
I would just like to see maybe the social media speculation theories and accusations, maybe they're not going to stop, but slow down.
Okay. I wonder what your new Wonder what your New Year's resolutions are there, boy. You want the speculation online to slow down and stop? Why would that even be an issue? That's 10 karat gold there, Tambourine. Look at the way he's standing. He's strategically standing like that on purpose. I don't know how you can tell from this angle, but okay. What are you saying there? Ratarai? You think he's doing a lot of self-soothing and things like that? Everything. He's got all kinds of things misfiring up in there, yo. It's a little too late now. You know, everybody at this point already knew that he's a liar and he's lying about something, and it had to do with wherever the hell Jack and Lily are. Oh, he's trying to look relaxed. It's very difficult to do when you're tweaking on the mathematics. He's sweating. Just wait till you get a little closer to him. He was sweating hard. He's still full of lies, but I hate misinformation and would love it cleared up. Well, it's dirty bits. Listen. Looks like you were wrong on that last one. Major misfires, AB, but his brain is stronger than the rest, apparently, to do math every day for years. He's microdosing. Microdosing the math. Oh, Jesus. That's so funny to even brag about. Mayflower, I guess, you could bring that up, but I'm pretty sure that he knows it. Not that it's necessarily important to pursue this case. You love that last interview, Bonnie, where he's so obviously pissed and agitated about the dog handler. I don't know if he was. I guess it's probably one of my favorites too. But you never quite get to you never quite get to learn why in that sense. It's not about that. It's about, hey, look at how innocent I am. Hey, look at everybody pointing their fingers at me in this circumstance. That's been typical up until now. It's nobody doing or going overboard in any sense of the word. Because all of the information has flowed one way from these individuals. So it's going to be very difficult to get away from that. Nobody's making things up and putting it on you. And you're lying in this situation, there's a reason for it. Really. And it comes down to flawed fundamental logic in all of this. They can't win. They can try to play this game for as long as it takes. That's all they can do. But they're not fooling anybody. No, it's dirty. Listen, it's because he's rehearsed this story in 2 different times, said 2 different things in that sense. That was the point that was being made. It's only you that thinks that in that particular way. So there might be a reason for that. It probably has to do with you trying to troll my chat. Tambourine Mayflower, yes, I agree that happens. How many stories can one person make up? Practice makes perfect, I guess. Good thing for screenshots. Oh, Tambourine. Yeah, Esther Minier, you think? Well, he's got to keep up that appearance, Mama. He's got to pretend that he's smarter than everybody else. In a way, when it comes to this particular case, he is, and he knows it, and he should be acting as though he's not. But he can't get past that. See, to act that way as though you had all of the information at any point in time is rather suspect. Then it gives him further away. There's no coming back from that. You can put all kinds of lipstick on that pig. Oh, it's okay. It's a dirty bits. I'm just reacting. Well, I don't. Okay, I'll go back and look. But if it's two separate, then I can't believe how stupid I am. But I've been dumber under the influence of all of this sticky icky. Callie O, where did I see you? I can't believe he has been free for 8 months, allowed to move freely and get away with covering everything up. Listen, don't let that shock you. There's all kinds of individuals out there in the world who are guilty of the most heinous of crimes that walk around you freely every day and you don't know any and aren't any of the wiser. The fact that you know more about this individual, it just comes with the emotional load because of your attachment to the particular case, right? You've got to manage that. You've got to know how to manage that. Do you need a hug? Sometimes a hug helps. That's part of management. Trauma management. Sorry, that's me grooming you. I wasn't trying. All fair. I just thought it was worth noticing. Thanks for bringing it up. It's dirty bits. I'll watch it next time. I'll watch back on it. He freebases too, silver gold. When they can afford. They can afford to. 7-gram rocks like Charlie Sheen. You've got it right, Anita Benita. Well, Danny is not free from his own paranoia, so there's that for now. All right. You're right on. You're with that. It eats away. But also, that's if there's any humanity left in him at this point. You would think at some level, as soon as you peel the layers of the onion back for Daniel in an interview room, can you only really truly see the terror in his eyes. That would be fantastic perspective. That's going to happen someday. Eats away at him like the math has eaten away his teeth. Sarah Jane 86, do you believe Janie is also hooked on this crank? The jib, the Tina, the crystal, that cut knife that they buy from the dudes up in Westville. Tambourine, it was a massive change in his behavior, and I agree it was indigent. What the hell is that word? I can't even recognize that word. He was something. I don't know what that says, Bonnie.
Because at this point, they're getting ridiculous.
So are you thinking that the dogs will...
Oh, these... Guys, all of these online rumors are fucking ridiculous. As if you even bring that up on the CBC. The last thing that you do is feed the trolls, and that's feeding the trolls. If that was really a concern, don't even bring them up, just manage it. It's something that you have to manage. If it is indeed an issue, but it's not an issue. Anytime that you're in a situation like this, doesn't matter who you are, you get inundated by a bunch of people that you don't know. And social media makes that, it compounds that, especially if you're in their position and they want to put it back on to people as though they're doing something wrong. They shouldn't, then they don't have to, and they can choose not to be engaged in all of this in the first place. You have the right to remain silent, but you won't. I'll never get past how he wanted to put this off onto Malaya. Whatever's going on, the reason that they can't find Jack and Lily, it's because Malaya has them, or Malaya knows what happened to them. We have nothing to do with it. Just like the kids, she's not around to speak for herself, and she's clammed up. Has guilty written all over it. Anita says DM is more worried about what people see and think of him, and his victim pool is getting smaller by the day. No victim, no control. He be going after Logan and Janie again. These inbreeders. Yeah, there's something going on there.
Go in there and won't find anything?
I know for 100% they won't find anything. I mean, that's probably why they waited this long to do it. It's just to keep the public informed, I guess, that they're hard at work.
Do you think it will rule things out?
Yeah, I think we'll rule a lot of things out. Rule out that the RCMP are, working hard, and there's no human remains on the property.
Is there any piece of you that's preparing for the fact, like, what if they do find something?
No, because I didn't do anything. I know Malaya didn't do anything. I know my mother didn't do anything.
So, do you see how indirect that whole conversation is? None of them really wanted to specify what it actually is that they're referring to. And this nothing, or this that they only loosely refer to. But here you see a perfect back and forth, almost like it's Laurel and Hardy. So how is it you go from encouraging and wanting cadaver dogs to come in all of this time and dismissing such a general, easy question like wondering or hoping what you think? If you say this, then are you hoping that they find something, or this, or what exactly? But they are still only referring to it as it. So indirect, ambiguous, vague. This anything that you guys didn't do. What is it you're referring to? What are the things that you didn't do exactly? So we know. JM, that snide laugh when he's talking about remains. Well, that's duping delight. That's duper's delight. Well, I've said it before. Ha 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 ha. Ha, jeez. Just so ridiculous it makes me laugh. That's what he's doing, but there's a little bit more cognitive effect at work here than that. What's up, Katie? What's up, girl? They didn't do anything. They didn't do nothing to those kids. Didn't do nothing. It didn't do anything to protect them, Squid. That's a good one. Yeah, it's a commonality. You can finish their statements, right? They always love to give you these half statements, these half, we'll call them half truths, not the complete story in that sense. I'll give you a little bit of that, but not all of the statement. Well, Sarah Jane, there'll be special circumstances when the situation comes up. I'm not too worried about sentencing as of yet. Let's figure out what it is that they've done. They probably is not going to last that long. But you never know.
Those are 3 people on the property. I mean, after the polygraph exams, they should have known right there. We didn't kill any of the kids, or we didn't kill the kids.
Why do you think?
We didn't kill any, and then change it to we didn't kill the. Interesting. I like that question. I like that answer. Not for the reasons Daniel wants, though. So he's introducing kill to everybody, really. Nobody's bringing that to him. It's him introducing it. We didn't kill them. So what does that have to do with dogs finding any sign of decomp? Kelly OG says that was leakage, right? So are all of his stutters. Oh, Robin Edwards, she just got over being ill. Now I feel ill again when I hear douchebag talk. Oh, oh my God. Do you want some Pepto-Bismol, girl? Yeah, Rotary, all of their sentences are weird. Yeah. Right. They're playing games in that sense. It's very indirect. It's not a direct, open conversation like you would otherwise think it would be, right? Hey, Sweet Tea, good to see you. Danny Boy could be shitting swirlies in prison, 2 flavors. He's probably going to change genders in prison, I would expect. An involuntary gender change. Coop, why did he say we didn't kill any of the kids? Is there more to the story? No, he was just, what do you mean more to this story? No. Is that the it he's referring to? I think that's the it that everybody's referring to, isn't it? It doesn't get any worse than that. I mean, that would be the apex to all of this. So if you know all of that, then you could therefore confidently say to the world that, or what it is that you do think. But why so hesitant to even be direct like that? You would want to be direct. What's going on, J-Rock? J to the ROC. He'll look just like his mama, but she looks like a man. The dude looks like a lady here. He looks like Vince Neil. Sarah Jane, and the ground is so uneven and rough and so deadfall. There's no way they could have gotten far in the woods. Exactly. Nobody came by and picked them up because you would have heard all kinds of activity out there. It would be impossible to try to convince people. You would have to take the 12 jurors over to this place on Garlock Road and have them all stand in the trailer and go outside and make some noise and recognize just how paper thin the walls are and how impossible it would have been not to hear kids playing out there or people coming and going out there or some sort of noise. They just can't figure it out. And when they're, we'll say, pressed or questioned on it, they rephrase their answers into the form of a question as a way to deflect. Brandy Lindy, the search director, says Jack would have only made it 4 or 5 feet in those woods unless they took a trail. Not saying that that's what's happened, just looking at the possibility. Well, Brandy, you can pretty much rule all of that out. But notice that he didn't want to even introduce that because it would be, what, talking about the kids wandering off into the bush again? He doesn't even want to entertain that at this point, anticipating the audience already knows that didn't happen. Right, runs with scissors. There's searching done all over the place, Debbie Roberts. It was thoroughly searched, professionally done. Basic old broad. Thank you very much, darling. I appreciate that super sticker. JM saying, I take what Daniel said is as though it's like saying, yes, bad stuff might have happened, but we weren't responsible for this particular extreme. He's splitting hairs at a time where there's no reason to. Nobody knows what you're alluding to or why you're speaking the way that you are in an indirect fashion. Should be just as mystified. You should be the one telling people what's mysterious about it. You should know better than anybody, but none of that conversation's ever happened. You would be so direct because you would be trying to do the right thing, Daniel. The right thing isn't what it is that you're doing. You're obfuscating, and that's obvious. Yeah, Coop. Yeah, she has lost the plot. I know. I don't tune in. I don't know about that, Barky Boys. Yep, Tina Lee, it could be anything. The fact that we're pretty sure that they were coming and going all that night from that particular spot, it would make sense to try to rake over all of the evidence of the vehicle that you were using to dispose of. Evidence or packages, bodies in this circumstance. The sad reality of it. I don't even like to speak on it. I don't even like to speak on... It should be obvious. I don't think anything about DT's opinion on anything. He's a fraud. An individual is misrepresenting himself and misrepresenting on the back of these two children with disinformation. I don't care what he has to say. He's a fucknut. Drunk guy said us Canadians must be dumb if we think 4-year-olds can't walk. Are you saying that's what that dipshit said? He's a fucking loser, dude. Paul Blart. Fucking mall cop. I don't even like to be negative because it turns people off that might not have otherwise be turned off before, but I don't mind telling you the odd time. There you go, I just told you. He's a spaz, dude. You've got to really watch it. Watch who you hang around these streets sometimes. Get ready, Daniel and Malaya. The RCMP are coming for you, says Runs with Scissors. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Rod, those kids never went in the woods, nor would they have ever been able to. Yeah. Listen, the kids just didn't voluntarily put on their boots, no clothes to go into the middle of nowhere. Kids get up and go into the cupboards. They go into, the refrigerator. They go where their toys are. Because that's what's imprinted on their mind a good time. They don't know about all. They don't immediately go to the spookiest, scariest fucking place, never to be seen again. Unless somebody helps them along the way, if you know what I mean. Daniel, Janie, and Malaya. Logan, Derwood, and Kent. The fact that it's even a topic, the topics that have been brought up by the individuals that last saw Jack and Lily alive are so fucking embarrassing and ridiculous that it, in of itself, it shows you how desperate they are to get away with whatever it is that they themselves have done to these kids. The funny part of it is that they are so desperate for your sympathy, they go to such great lengths where an individual wouldn't have to sympathize with the victim in this circumstance should it have been legitimate. But we're still waiting to figure out what happened, no different than that very first interview that Malaya gave. It's too bad you assholes couldn't figure out how to be a little bit more direct in how you wanted to exit this. You can't maintain in a place where you've brought and left it. You don't want to answer, none of you want to answer a question directly. And hell, is it funny to troll.
That they're not possibly, like why, that they didn't possibly wander into the woods?
Well, with the amount of resources that were used, and I mean, for everything from drones to helicopters to classified technology and all the searchers on the ground.
See, he wants to get ahead and stay in front and tell you the exact same thing that they tell you on the evening news about how much of the taxpayers' money and resources have gone into this and what it is that they're doing to search for these kids on a professional level, exactly how you're supposed to respond to an emergency. He wants to just recite that, but what are we witnessing? Anybody? You're experiencing the old chameleon effect here, where he's trying to change his position in all of this out of convenience in order to stay away from answering or getting any closer to telling us what the hell happened or what he thinks happened to Jack and Lily. An innocent person would have no problem telling you to no end, repeating it, what he thinks is happening and what he thinks is going on at this point in time. This is what needs to happen because these kids are, and you would state your emergency, but here we don't have any of that. You just have an idiot, Daniel, who wants to tell us that the kids walked by themselves voluntarily into the bush. Now he wants to change. Based on now is the right time to say that because we've wasted all other resources in this search and it's not worth searching because there's no way the kids could have survived on their own that long. And Daniel wants to be the first one there to agree with everybody after he's the one responsible for putting us through this facade. Does it remind you of any particular fable or story tale? The Boy Who Cried Wolf, right. You can't have your cake and eat it too here, asshole. Why is it these individuals don't want to tell you what it is that they think happened to their kids? Because it would commit them to further questioning and exposing their bullshit stories and it breaking down. So far, they have relied on not remembering, misaligning details, inconsistent stories, all of the traditional things and red flags that investigators recognize to come from people who are trying to lie, obfuscate, and get away with most likely double child homicide here. So what is it that really happened? What was the incident? What was the incident that led to all of this conspiracy to get away with whatever it is Danny Boy did here as he was high AF? Again, as he was microdosing on the Cristal.
Around, I mean, searchers on bicycles. They did everything. On the pipeline, they took in ATVs and Argos and side by sides. They used everything they could.
Tell me about what do you make at this point of the investigation of what RCMP have been doing or not doing? What's your stance on all of that?
Well, I would like to go in for another whole round of polygraph exams. I mean, that would be, and maybe bring some new people in that are doing the polygraph exams. But I know they're hard at work. I've filled notebooks with just trying to help them find leads or.
Duper's delight here, old Smiley. Hey, how you doing there, Smiley? Oh yeah, I just feel so good about myself. All of the notebooks of leads that I've handed over to the RCMP. You can keep all that fiction coming. He is way happier at this point in time, thinking that this polygraph examination is somehow exonerating him from any culpability, any responsibility over the fate of Jack and Lily. And he's using that as a badge of honor, guys. Does that not tell you how guilty this motherfucker is? He's using this ridiculousness as though it's actually something and trying to force it down his own family's throats and everybody else's throats, even several times on the CBC. And he is making the mistake because, of course, it would make you most happy to an innocent person. It would just be another goddamn day. But to a person who's trying to get away with a situation with unaliving two beautiful children, like Jack and Lily, that would actually mean something, and it would be a fantastic day. Oh, the best day is just when they told me I passed that polygraph examination. I knew that I was innocent then. He's a little off. See, to a person who has been victimized by the worst crimes possible, twofold with two children, and you shouldn't and be confused at any point in time, you shouldn't even have or care about the polygraph examination. It wouldn't be very significant to you. Your mind's on other things rather than fixated on how you are perceived based off of a polygraph examination. All you're really showing is your own ignorance. House Music wants to remind you that Danny's probably just smoking that delusional shit. He's overly confident with his lies. That'll be the math in your opinion, Robin. Well, yeah, it's all misaligned. All of these things are so disingenuous. It's him having to focus on it. And just because you can do them under math, you can be high while you do it, doesn't make it any more convincing. He's not fooling anybody. He's a walking pharmacy. Rotteril, he looks aggravated to me. Also, biggest signifier, premeditated, can't find the kids. I wonder how many times he ran this scenario over in his head. I don't know, Michelle. There's definitely a pattern of abusive behavior towards Jack and Lily. It escalated. It wasn't getting any better. Their relationship wasn't getting any better. So why would the treatment of the kids get any better? Like every other cycle, it escalated to a point of popping. Think about the fact that she just got that new car. She just got her plates. The fact that she was probably seeming a little bit too detached and happy about leaving this son of a bitch. And that came across in leading up. Like, you know, it's really the worst thing is knowing and having to live with that other person that you know that you've separated from. And, you know, it's like it's aggravating for everybody in that sense. But to a person who's high like Danny all the time, a person who can't control his emotions and emotes in a negative fashion, aka beats the kids, that's Wade's words. Nobody can figure out why she can't and didn't do something. If you're telling everybody, Malaya, that Daniel's abusive towards the kids, why couldn't you change that? Malaya has never had the kids' well-being as a primary focus in her mind. So it seems. It hasn't always been that way. Think about what the point is for this interview in the first place. Like, what's the premise to this? Why is it this asshole is sitting here in front of the camera telling us what it is that he's telling us. He's not doing the normal things. He's not engaged. He's doing what he thinks he has to do. Whether this one was on request or he requested it, I don't know. But what's the purpose of the interview? And why isn't there a clear, concise point to any of it? It's not because there is no answers. It's because of the way that Danny here doesn't like to answer any of the questions. Nobody's come out with clarity. I just hit the mic with my mouth.
I mean, I've filled notebooks with just trying to help them find leads or give them any kind of small detail, answer as many questions as I can, or, you know.
How can you tell it's a lie? I mean, what does that actually mean? You're going to fill out fucking notebooks with any little leads or any little things that you could think of that may be relevant to the case, and you want people to believe that you've filled out notebooks full of them. Well, isn't it kind of ironic that that's what we're accusing him of doing? Like, listen, you could probably fill notebooks like the officers if you were to give them any information worth remembering. So strangely true in that sense, but not for the reasons that he's portraying. This is a blatant misrepresentation, a manipulation. Not that it matters, it's just another one. It's it's not a one lie thing. This guy is such a fucking storyteller. Like, at any point in time, could you like stay on a single line and just make a point, Danny? No, you cannot make a point, for crying out loud. Don't expect one to come out here. It needs interpretation at all times.
But I'm doing everything I can. I usually try to meet with them 3 times a week. And sometimes they're not around for that, or phone calls or texts, but whatever we can do.
So I guess to bring it back to the cadaver dogs, since you've been asking for it for so long, I guess, you don't have any information on how that will happen?
No, I don't even know where quite they're going to start searching, or what they're going to do. Are they going to expand out onto the properties? The property there is fairly small. It's only 2 acres. So.
Yeah. Will it be the whole 8.5 that they searched previously?
I don't know. That's a lot. That would be quite a few. That'd be a couple weeks probably on foot doing that.
So yeah. Danny laughing again. Danny. No, they're not going to do that, honey. Oh, that's so ridiculous. It made me laugh again. She's a real comedian.
You look at the documents, and you know some of the other stuff.
He's got these hand movements that are so out of sync with everything else. He's putting on a real public speaking. Were you reading up on this on the internet? Your public speaking mannerisms? Trying to emphasize your points? Well, you're doing it in all the wrong places, by the way. It's like you're doing it backwards. Upside down and inside out. Oh, yes, listen, let me express myself this way. Janie's the exact same way. Have you noticed? They really use a lot of arm movement when they're lying, especially. Because it takes a lot of arm movement to draw from you. You're trying to convince you. That's a lot of cognitive effort. Oh, got to push that out there. Oh, yeah. Here, this hand helps.
Our CMP has said or done, there's 70,000 drone photos that were taken during the search. That's a lot of photos.
Wow, thanks. He's a real spokesman for the case. Wow. Thanks for bringing this to us, you stupid son of a bitch. Let's see. Kiss my ass.
And then on Facebook.
Yep, there we go.
So it's the morning of May 2nd. Take me through what happened.
Okay, I was up at 6 o'clock, sat in there and had my...
Oh, that'll be easy. I think it's important you come over here, honey, and let me show you exactly where we were during all of whatever it is that happened to Jack and Lily. Though we don't know what it is yet, we don't like to talk about it. We're not guilty of it, this thing. I want you to come over here and listen to me tell you that I'm not bringing you over here today to lie to you. I want you to know that I'm not lying here. You can believe me. Believe me. I wouldn't lie to you.
Tea. And then
That's
on
sarcasm.
Facebook, 7 o'clock. I get up. Come over here.
Let's get those helicopter hands going.
Fed my chickens. My brother, Ron, called me at 8:48 and asked me if I wanted to go to town with him. And I said no. I said I'm staying home. I said I'm going back to bed. Okay, I went and I laid down.
Quarter to 9 in the morning, the old lady's fucking whooped. Woo! I'm going back to lay down in this hot little RV of mine. Boy, life is really... I wonder what the poor people are doing here. It's quarter to 9 in the morning on a Friday, and the old bag is thinking about packing it in and going back to bed without getting on with her day. Usually people are just getting up to go to work and do things for the day, as opposed to going back to bed after being up already. She's fucking lying, dude. Lady Frankenstein, she does resemble a bit like has a Frankenstein-y look when she walks. It's because she's lying. One side of her hand one side of her body's lopsided. It's heavier than the other. A buildup of bullshit.
Next thing you know, my dog started barking and the kids were out in the yard. Now you can see there's 2 swings where the kids play.
See, the problem with this here is, honey, is that you are not talking about seeing the kids. How would you know the kids are out there? You can tell everything that's going on because we use our ears? No, we visually, we take a look at things. Oh, I saw the kids out there. That's how you start things off, honey, not presenting the scene. You're painting the picture in the scene and then easing how here you're easing your distancing language in. And you're avoiding talking about the kids directly. And it's not just one-off. It's a continuous thing between you and your dickhead son. Not to mention it's been inconsistent there, honey baby. Well, your bullshit story hasn't been, but everything else that you've added and omitted and admitted since then would contradict things.
My bedroom is right there. I heard the kids. This is where the kids' swings are. This is where they always played.
And so that's where...
That's where I heard them. And I can hear everything in that trailer.
Yeah, so at no point does she ever get to the point here. It's really just painting a backdrop, and she's just assuming the kids are out here. Shouldn't this be more child-centric? Shouldn't you be expressing what it is that you saw back there? The next thing you know, so they almost want to have you think that just hearing a sound somehow IDs them for being at home that Friday as opposed to in a shallow grave somewhere or out to sea or at Derwood's place in a plastic tub, duct taped up. Everything that she's stating is not relevant to wherever the fuck Jack and Lily are or a relevant story. They've never had a good story. This is her trying to convince you that whatever bullshit that she's bringing is actually true. It's true, according to her, because she asked the CBC to come by and put it on videotape. So anything goes here. Why? Because she wouldn't lie to you. That's not going to fly in this circumstance. That's not acceptable in this circumstance from a public perspective or from the RCMP. This is not going to get you by in this circumstance, this narrative, this nonsensical story, guys, because it goes nowhere. You want to introduce pieces of information, then have everybody fill that in whatever timeline that they've come up with their own mind. Not going to happen that way. You've got to do a little better. But it's far too late for that. If you risk being a revisionist now, you're risking your freedom.
If two kids get out of a fence, and Jack and Lily are all the time yelling, especially Lily, come on, Jackie, let's go, Jackie, let's go, Jackie. It's all I hear out here. When the kids get out of the fence and come out through here, I would have heard them yelling, come on, Jackie, let's go, Jackie, let's go. I didn't hear anything. The next thing I heard is I heard Daniel yelling. He was yelling for Jack and Lily. I didn't get up.
I think it's funny how more than one person, all three of them, go with the fading in and out of sleep to try to somehow signify a gap in time, as though it's an excuse and a justification to not speak to it during a specific time frame. That's not going to fucking go over. This fading in and out of sleep nonsense is not going to fly. You were up, obviously, and awake, wishing you were asleep, hoping that the excuse that you're giving people in that moment is fooling them or conditioning them enough to just accept whatever bullshit you're saying to them.
Because I thought he was yelling for Jack and Lily to get in the house. So the next thing you know, I came out of the trailer after I heard Daniel, about, I'd say, 10 minutes after I heard him, I come out of the trailer. I opened up the door, was standing here. Malaya was standing right here with Meadow on her hip. And I come out and I said, what's up? She said, Jack and Lily are missing. I said, how long? She said, about 20 minutes. I closed the door, got my boots on, came out here, ran up.
And why would it matter? Why would it matter to Janie, Daniel, or anybody else associated with what happened to Jack and Lily care about what a bunch of strangers were speaking about them on the internet? Why would they even need to take up their time as though that was a constructive way of going about things? That the things that people were saying about them were affecting them to a degree that they have to mention it. It just is leakage for what's really terrifying them. They're terrified about being called out. They're terrified over being strung up to the lampposts because of what it is that they did to two innocent children aged 4 and 6. They violently took their lives. Not because they were caring parents, but because they had become a burden. And you wanted to act out on the person that was putting you through unnecessary torture to your narcissistic ass. It was a form of extreme narcissistic abuse from way of Daniel and Janie. Add the fact that they're all racist atop of all of that. Well, it's specifically racist towards Malaya's ethnic heritage in that sense. You know it, Brandy. Everyone instinctually knew that the kids went into the woods, but now they didn't go into the woods. Well, yeah, because they didn't find the kids, obviously, and there's no way that they continue trying to convince people that they did. They were better off just to stick with what it is they said and nothing else. But they want to come out and say that we don't believe the kids are in the woods either, everybody, so there's no sense bringing that to us. It was a way to deflect away from any sort of accountability in the moment. Oh, we've brought your asses through this fucking lie. We're going to take you through our next lie. And here's our little buddy Derwood. You were shocked about that? Why in the heck would Malaya think it was safe for her and her children to be there? Well, she was complaining about it for a while. For whatever reason in her mind. You would think that she was taking the steps. She was taking her steps in her own mind, but nobody ever thinks the worst thing is going to happen to them. Except when you add into the equation the unpredictability of the mathematics and the substance abuse and the abuser. Think about the type of fucking asshole he is based off of the deception and the lies that you're experiencing, Daniel. Think about the type of individual he really is. The type of individual that does what it is that we're accusing him and suspicious of, and what it's looking like he's done to these poor kids. And what would you expect from an individual like that? Shenanigans, saying handcuffs, that's what they're scared of? Yep. That's their primary fear. And they'll say and do anything in that moment to the cops to make it look like it was somebody else. At some point, you run out of excuses. You've exhausted all other resources. No more call a friend. Now, based off of that little trip that you've brought investigators through, there's all kinds of questions that'll arise from that. I wonder what they'll say. Well, it wasn't me. Wasn't me. I know we didn't do anything to the kids. Oh, yeah. How do you know that? And why do you put all of that on Malaya? So it's an inconsistent statement that he's bringing to people once again. Always inconsistent. And they've, at this point in time, said everything that you could possibly say on both sides of the fence. I don't know if you can get any more contradictory. There's nothing more to contradict about. We see just how guilty these people are. And Janie has her excuses, and she's told us about that excuse, hasn't she? She'll do anything to protect her kids. She'll do anything to protect her Daniel in his times of need.
In the woods.
Just right up here.
The kids have a little fort that they made out of sticks and fir branches, and that's where they go. You can see them and hear them. We went for walks in the woods. I had to practically carry Jack through the woods because there was no way that he was walking through all that tree falls and bushes. I did this whole area. There's an old road up back. When I got up to the top of the hill, I met Daniel. And I said to him, I said, did you find them? He said, no. He said, you coming with me? I said, no. I said, I'm going to search this area. Because when she told me the kids were missing, you automatically think they went into the woods. That was my first instinct. So I went up and I did this whole...
Yeah, instinct. Instinct is right. Stink. I see a lot of stink. I could smell her through this damn TV. It's amazing how specific she gets with her memory in this circumstance over otherwise mundane parts. Oh, you saw Daniel coming across the front and you asked him about something that was negative, but you can remember this so specifically. Yet you can't remember all of this other time frame, this point in time, like the circumstances and the time frame around leading up to when you say Jack and Lily disappeared. See, we're only seeing this through this particular story. You know what would be so fun? To have an in-depth conversation about Thursday. Right from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and see all of the reactions. Why don't you guys go back and tell us what you did on Thursday? Better yet, tell the RCMP and come out and tell us what it is. What's your story? Something that you're not going to see Daniel do. There's nothing worth remembering. Remember. Imagine hearing that fucking excuse as an investigator. That's almost like finding the last apple fritter in the donut box for them. That's like a bonus. That's a little Easter egg. It's like 100xp to your energy level because you know you're on the right track, because only a suspect or a guilty individual in this circumstance would be saying something like that. Oh, CJ, St. Jacobs apple fritters. You talking about St. Jacobs, Ontario? The farmer's market? The Amish farmer's market up in there? I love that farmer's market, brother. That was when my guilt sank, when DM said he knew three of them did not kill the kids, replaced it 2 times, which got me wondering who else was on the property, or that he knows who did what. There's going to be such a thing as, I'm not saying that you're doing that, Explore Core. You can follow whatever way that you want, but I only look at a liar so far. I only need to know that he's fucking lying to me before I disregard anything else past a certain point. He's just a bullshitter, and I know what he's bullshitting about. Play down the day the shit went down, Neuro VX. That's what they're doing on the Thursday night into Friday. So happy about Wade Paris's statement. So happy to hear Bradley Wong and Justin Smith speak right out. Think about how they misrepresented it while they acknowledged what we now know to be out there in the early part of the investigation about him driving around all night. It wasn't them introducing it, meaning Daniel or Janie or anybody. They had to dismiss it, and that's so suspect. You would think that if they were victimized, that there was vehicle activity here the night before. That's news to me. I wonder what that has to do with anything. No, they had to completely dismiss it and try to throw shade and undermine the credibility of 2 separate eyewitnesses that contradict their story to police in real time. That's them panicking. They didn't think that one through very far. It got so close to home, it scared them, and they just straight denied it. And Malaya also claims that she never had heard a vehicle Thursday night, Callie. Is that right? Oh, yeah, we can't trust Malaya in this circumstance, sadly. It still kind of baffles me a little bit that according to Haley, or by the sound of that particular clip in the interview, that her being Haley Ferdinand, Malaya and her other friend slash in-law, we'll say sister-in-law, I forgot her name off the top of my head, are all going out posting missing posters of Lily and Jack. That tells me that Malaya is lying directly to them voluntarily. Shelby. Thank you, Brandy. That's very bizarre. I think that would be very traumatizing to be, Cheryl, not Shelby, Cheryl. You're right, Cindy. You think that would be traumatizing? And why would you be putting people through that just to make it look like you're doing something to make it look as though your false story is real? It's just shocking to think about, especially recently. Why does Brad Wong go by boss man? Does he have his own business? Because he's a boss man. He's a good man. Sarah, yes. Oh, let me see. Sierra, how are so many people keeping quiet? They're not keeping quiet.
Whole area, this whole wooded area, right up to the top of the dirt road, came back down here, and came back down the side of the road, came back down here, and came back up the same spot. I went back into the house by the time the cops were here. I don't know exactly what time. I didn't take my phone. The cops were here. There was a bench sitting here, or a sawhorse. It's over there. Was sitting here. I was sitting on it, bawling my eyes out. I was.
And here's the reasons, all of the reasons, the amended reasons why I was bawling my eyes out. Let me read this. I've prepared a little something. Come on, Janie. Already so many games being played. Janie's the stuff nightmares have made of. Would you be afraid of her if you were a little child, Robin?
Grant keeping them. He would play on the swing. He was a happy-go-lucky boy. Lily, she was a Miss Prim girl, as I would say, if that's what you call it. I guess they call her a diva or whatever, but to me, Miss Prim. Because whenever she would get her clothes dirty, she would go in and change her clothes. I never knew what that girl was going to come out in. She had a kitchen out in the yard. I had to play kitchen. I got to play kitchen for them. Well, for my oldest two grandchildren. And when they weren't here, that's what she did. She'd play with the kitchen. She'd make mud pies. She would pretend she was making hot chocolate, or.
It's interesting that she corrected herself. Oh, I got this outdoor kitchen for my biological grandchildren. But that's what they love to do. They love to play on some of the toys that I've gotten for the grandchildren that I care about. That little diva, I guess is what you would call it. She's a little diva. Could you imagine? Jackie's a curious little boy. He's no longer around anymore. Hint, hint. That's what you're waiting from this evil Cruella broad. Why did you go back in the house when the cops got there? You and Dan avoiding talking to the cops, getting together to get your story straight, says Ginger. Yeah, so at that point in time, whatever happened the night before, whatever the incident was that brought the fate of Jack and Lily, God rest their souls. These evil son of a bitches. They have a history of mistreating Jack and Lily. There's child eyewitnesses to this being related to the suspect.
Coffee or tea. If a bug got around her, she would scream, "There's a bug, there's a bug." And she would go running in the house because there was a bug. Jack would just say, "Where's the bug? Where's the bug?" That's all they ever, from what I observed, they just played on the swings a lot. Her and the oldest grandchild would play on the swing. They would sit up there and they'd sing. I would sit there on my doorstep and listen to them sing. They would run around the yard, and that's all I ever heard was Lily say, come on, Jackie, let's go, Jackie, come here and play, Jackie, come here and play." They were bright little kids. They talked a breeze. Like when someone would come into my yard, like if my brother come into my yard, they would come and say hi, and my brother would talk to them, and they would talk to him, and Jack would be there. "Oh, look at my worms," or "Look at my bugs." I remember one day we caught a salamander, him and I. And Daniel said, "Jack, you have to let the salamander go because if not, it'll die." Well, I snuck the salamander out of the bucket. And he looked for that salamander. And he cried because we let his salamander go. Jack was just into bugs. He loved bugs. Lily was into the kitchen, making mud pies. And then when my two oldest grandchildren would come down, every second weekend they would come. My oldest granddaughter would come in here and they'd say, "Granny, we want some snacks to go up to the little cabin they built, or the little fort they built. They built it themselves out of sticks and brush." And I'd say, "There's the fridge." My other two grandchildren, they could have whatever they wanted. My fridge was like one of those doors when you go into a store. It would open and close all the time. My oldest granddaughter would come in here and she would take snacks for all of them and pack them in her backpack and go up to the camp. And another thing, the backpack thing. I've never seen Lily outside with that backpack. Daniel told me that they always tried to keep her from taking it outside. But I've never seen her with that pack. The only time outside playing, but the time I did see her with the backpack is when my two other grandchildren would come down. She'd want a backpack too because the oldest grandchild had a backpack and she wanted to be just like her and have a backpack.
Oh, that was difficult. Think about how much time that took to say. Think about how much time that took her to say, to explain to people about why Lily... What exactly were you trying to explain there? Exactly. You're just trying to explain the backpack. And it took you all of this time to say absolutely nothing about the fucking backpack. Other than you're adding extenuous information to the already story that you're weaving. It's irrelevant. Who cares? Why are you so focused on it? In this particular case, you're using it in order to bolster your own virtue in the moment, but it doesn't work, especially when people go back in retrospect after they catch on to your nonsense. Oh, Tambourine, don't know. Not even going to follow it up with any backpack questions, simply because it's something that they introduced that's really used to distract. It's pointless. There's no point to a backpack conversation here, other than pointing out the inconsistency in what it was that Jack and Lily were last seen in. That's never been straight up and delivered. And when it did, it was immediately contradicted by Daniel publicly. Like, how many times does that have to happen before you've had enough with the suspect? Once in my book. So it's not like he's capturing the hearts of people and convincing them that they're so innocent in all of this. Every day that goes by, they look even more suspect to the public and guilty, probably guilty of some heinous things here. We don't have to worry about the technicalities. We're not at that point. You can speculate away and use your imagination as to how it came about, but it has all of the signals as a typical domestic and the escalation, and the relationship stinks of coercive control by a out-of-control tweaker. And there's probably more to it than that. There's more to it that they're protecting, that we don't know. More to it that would shock us. Like, where does the abuse stop in this situation? What is the bond that is tying these weirdos together? There's something else in the background. And yet it has everything to do with the fate of Jack and Lily and the need that they had to construct in order to try to get away with this. What's keeping them all together is that if one person goes down, the rest of them are going to go down. And they haven't been challenged. They haven't been challenged yet. Because all of that they've brought to the investigation is false information. So they've had to construct the case in a different way. One that doesn't align with what is being portrayed in the public eye, that these individuals are portraying themselves to be victims, and that they're not, my friend. You can't be both perpetrator and victim. By the way, if you were this innocent in all of this, you fucking fools, you wouldn't have the need to be in front of a camera trying to convince people that you're innocent of all of this. Your innocence would speak for itself. And there's not any part of this that would lure anybody into thinking that you somehow didn't have something to do with whatever happened to Jack and Lily. You guys are so desperate to protect what it is that's the this. That's the thing, the it that you refer to. Listen, Norbeaster, it has nothing to do with, that's an old conversation. Who cares about the polygraph and the questioning and the specifics? We already know. Let's get this case built, demonstrate where it is that they're lying, push this to preliminary hearings, and go from there. It's not going to be difficult to prove that these individuals are lying in any way. There's so much. At some point, it's going to be able to build itself, because not all of their lies are going to be able to stick to the wall, so to speak. And it's a matter of time before they figure out what that is. Christ, it looks, from a person looking in, it looks like an individual trying to get away with things. They're not even hiding it. What's suspect is their behavior, their language, their interactions in a public setting, in light of the severity and the level of realism that this case has. Yeah, that's not how it works. It's not something that you're going to pass in that sense. The cops will tell you that. It's a tool. And he was the screw being turned. Yeah, he's misrepresenting it. That's the point, and why it's interesting in this case of how he wants to misrepresent it publicly and base something off of that. Now that's selective ignorance, in my opinion. I'm not even interested in polygraph exams, Gen Nova. We don't need all of that. Who cares? Fuck, we've already got all of the information from the first one. It's an opportunity to press this cocksucker in front of all of the individuals in-house from the RCMP and get to watch him and his reaction, no matter what it is, to questions, certain questions, to establish a baseline. This isn't going to be an easy one. You've got a perpetrator actively trying to get away with a major crime against children here in front of your face, under your nose. Cops don't like that shit. And they're not stupid. The training comes in is where they learn to play the game. They learn to play Danny's game, and they're forced into it. They're not going to come out in the public and give you a play-by-play and tell you all about it. Anybody can go and research the type of training and what it is that, and how it is that they go about these particular situations. It'll get you in a general direction. Some proud he passed as though it's the first test he ever passed in his life. Oh, he couldn't wait to bring it out there and use it as though it was a badge and a get out of jail free card when it comes to killing, and to quote his particular words, Jack and Lily. Because it probably loosely resembled or rhymed with the RCMP's question. So he wants to use that as the trump card here, and it couldn't be anything further from the truth, which tells you so much about Daniel Martel. And think about what it's telling the cops in that sense. It's not helping. It's not helping them. Oh, thank God, Daniel just clarified things for me. It's obvious they're lying, says Robin Edwards. Absolutely. Laurie Green, the police need evidence and solid proof. Oh, you can build it entirely on circumstantial evidence, Laurie Green. We talk about it all the time, especially in these circumstances, especially with Jack and Lily, because everything is there. You can see it. You don't have to be working for the Crown Prosecutor to recognize the level of lies at hand and the fact that Jack and Lily are going to be deceased. And if that's the way that you've got to pursue it, that's the way that you've got to pursue it. We're not privy to how they're going to do it or what it is that they're after, what they have, meaning the RCMP. We can see just by being layman's out here and watching all of the free evidence that these assholes bring us. They're telling us what it is that's happened. We're just speculating the rest. It's not necessarily important that we know all the gory details at this point. We don't have to wish and pretend and throw tarot cards or go to fucking psychics. You don't need that shit. We know enough to say that they're criminally responsible, and it's always because of the worst case scenario. And at any time, they're more than willing to tell. But all you have to do is prove these individuals are lying in this circumstance. It could be about the color of fucking shoes that they wore. It could be, there's so many lies here. You could start it anywhere, and it's going to lead to the next lie. Of course, it's going to be how, the ones that you can prove, but more importantly, a jury of 12 in that sense. That's not going to be hard. They're trying to spam people with plausible deniability at any point in time, and that in itself is suspect. It gets them away from the questions that investigators always ask, and they don't want to answer in a public setting for all of the nonsense that they want to come and bring here. And that's what it is that you actually think happened to Jack and Lily. And what do you think should happen to the people or person responsible to whatever happened to Jack and Lily Sullivan that day? And the fact that they didn't even want to answer the question, meaning Daniel, he never wants to answer that question, is everything in this situation. Avoids at all cost. There are cases where there's no bodies have been found and people have been put in jail. I can think of two of them right off the top. The Orion Orson West case and Harmony Montgomery. And there's more. You can go and search that, motherfuckers. You can probably search and get to know all kinds of cases. Well, Chris, we don't deal with those here. I might have went by Tim Hortons. Crazy Buck, who are you saying might? Roswell, they reminded me of the Wells. Oh, absolutely. Just how they come across, especially they're lying about essentially the same things in a generalized sort of manner. There's a lot of parallels. There's a lot in common. But you don't have to overanalyze that. You can see it, obviously, because they're in the same situation. So, a very similar situation, isn't it? That would also be similar to what was the other girl in Tennessee not too long earlier that put her baby in the woodpile in that sense. I can't remember. I don't want to remember. I always forget when I'm on the spot. All right, Chris, I hear you. All right, high five, Chris. HP8YF. We're talking about the same thing. Lori AB, the police only put this out because the public were getting restless and angry with them. I might be wrong. Oh, listen. It's part of their job. They've got a whole department dedicated to updating the public on what it is that they're doing. I don't overanalyze it. You get the same old answers until things are ready to move. If you overanalyze it, you start believing in it in a way that you're not meant to. Be satisfied with what it is, whatever update they give us, and thank them and get on with your day. Speculate away. Thank you very much, Miriam McBean. That's very generous of you. Thank you for the $5. Enoch, I think they may upgrade charges to aggravated or something else. There's already aggravated factors in this because there's children involved, and more than that. And it probably goes more. There's probably, and the coercive nature of the relationship is an aggravating factor in Canadian law as well. It's not a standalone, but it'll be an aggravating factor. Oh, welcome to troll level shenanigans. Thank you, darling. They need to create a new law, Jack and Lily's law, as soon as the kids reported. You know what, Jen Nova? Before federal. Oh, I gotta figure that out. I gotta find that again. There's a certain bill that's already written up that died because they essentially shut down Parliament for a while, and it needs to be reintroduced. But there's one that you can go, and I can't. I'd have to go back and look in my documents what it is. I can't think of the exact bill that it was at this point in time, but it had everything to do with how they prosecute coercive control and how they investigate it in relation to and including missing children cases, but more importantly, domestic violence and on a federal level. So it's all really sitting there. But again, we'll worry about that when we get to it. Worry about them putting these silver bracelets on these sons of bitches now. I can't wait to see that fucking body cam footage. I hope there's some sort of awesome takedown. I hope there's a fucking standoff and they've got to call SWAT in. and that they've got to bring in that great big oversized military vehicle, that armored vehicle, and they have to go and smash that RV that Janie was living in, because Danny and Janie have held themselves up in there with Derwood in the driver's seat. And then their bracelets get slapped on, and then it's all just captured there in one spot. And there's a little bit of screaming, maybe a little taser. Maybe we'll pull a taser, tase Derwood, because he's unruly. He's out of control. Tase him right in that fat ass of his. Just a little bit, though, just to send a message. The next time you open your mouth, boy, we're going to have to hog tie you. The next time you open your mouth, we're going to have to get that spit mask out. The next time I've got to talk to you, we're just going to put you in the full body suit that they zip you up into like a little sleeping bag and toss you and hang you from the back seat. Come into the department that way. We'll run you in. We'll run you up. Take your prints. I'll have a little talk with the bilingual investigators that you haven't already bamboozled, that you haven't already yelled at. The ones that pretend to be your friends. But mid-sentence, they start yelling at you just to shake you up a little bit, to get you scared. Where the rest of them eat bonbons and sip their coffees behind a one-way glass. Derwood will be in there reading their yellow pages. Oh, why don't you just put me on a polygraph?
Oh, and another thing, when we go walking up the old road here, top of my up the top of the hill here, up above my place there, if Jack didn't want to walk, Jack wouldn't walk. He would stand there and he would just, I'd say, "Come on, Jack, we're gonna walk." He would stand there and he would stamp his feet, fold his arms, and just.
So it's interesting to me why she chooses to say certain things here as opposed to taking a moment to remember a child that you loved, who you're concerned about where the whereabouts is at this point in time. But she's choosing to specifically remember a time. Remember, she's remembering a time right now where Jack wouldn't walk through the woods. Now she's trying to undermine the credibility of the story that she's just presented and try to justify as to why everybody's misled here. She's trying to justify and gain acceptance for the lie that she's told and others have told up to this point. And she's disguising it as, well, I guess something else must have happened because they didn't find any kids after the big search. And they're trying to distance themselves from that responsibility, that accountability. All of this is taking up all of their time instead of talking about what really happened or representing a factual scene and what their immediate need is and why they need it and how this is affecting them and what it's done and what had to have happened. You take a little bit of time to talk about how Jack, there's no way that they could have walked into the woods because there's no way Jack would have done it. You're choosing to speak in a certain way that isn't very becoming of a child who's now missing. Why? And why are you talking about him the way that you are? It's very calculated and cold for a person who claims to be also traumatized to the point of crying because she claims that she could have prevented whatever that is that happened to Jack and Lily, but won't ever identify what that actually is.
Look at me. And I'd say, "Come on, Jack, we're going for a walk." I'd have to go and take him by the hand to make him walk. Jack was a kid. If he didn't want to do something, he wasn't going to do it. Lily, she would walk along. I'd have to yell at Lily, Lily, wait up for us, wait up for us. But Jack, no. Jack would not move if you didn't take him by the...
Wouldn't life be really fucking weird? Like, even if you had a Commodore 64, the way that she describes Jack and Lily is so two-dimensional, is so as though this is all they do. This is all I hear. This is the only thing that they do, which all revolved around annoying them, making too much noise, and her calling after Jack all the time. And that's all that went on there. That's not really describing the personality traits or the characteristics of two loving children who you should be bonded with at that point in time. On some level, not just pretend to be.
a hand and tell him to come on. Apparently Lily was the only one that was sick. I think the reason why Jack didn't go to school is because I didn't think Jack. I don't think she wanted Jack to go to school by herself. That's my opinion. They missed school to Thursday, yes. They went to town Thursday around lunchtime. I have no idea what they went. I do not even know what they bought. I heard them out in the yard here Thursday afternoon. And when I heard them out, my dog started barking. My dog tells me when the kids are in the yard.
I want to know when the last time you visually saw the children, when you last time that you physically interacted with the children. And I want to speak in detail about what those events were and when they were. I don't care about what it is that you're telling me about hearing them at a distance. It's just overemphasizing the distancing and your desire and cognitive need to. You're withholding from everybody. It's leaking. You're stuttering and stammering over it. There's a real problem with how you're portraying this situation, Janie. CJ says harsh and cruel towards children, missing children, and more importantly, ones that you lived with for 2 years who are now missing. Right, CJ? Specifically. Like, the things that she's choosing to focus on are so shallow and don't speak to a person who's even interested in the children whatsoever. That's heartbreaking. Nero says, did Janie say apparently only Lily was sick? That's what she's claiming. So she never saw the kids at all on Thursday, in your opinion, right? Yeah, you would be able to gauge. And you're in and out. You didn't take a shit all day Thursday. You didn't get into the trailer. You'd wait till they go and just shit and just leave it stew in the toilet while they're gone. Stink the place up. Why would she know what they bought? They don't even know if they bought bagels or for Lily and Jack. Good observation, Staff Warrior. You're not wrong. She's on top of all things that go on around there. She heard them. She heard them, therefore she can vouch and verify that yes, indeed, the kids were back there. But she will refuse. When was the last time that you engaged with them a little bit? Cruella DeVille. The liar. It's a child eater. Jane Vanderbeck, good to see you. Those beautiful children slept in the same dirty clothes for days and nights. Shame on all of you. MBM, DM, JM. And the list goes on and on. Yeah, especially those who are simping for them at this point in time, with a special shout out to Derwood and Kent. Old Lobster Claw Kent. Strumming his skin flute. Sarah, and then that total lazy good-for-nothing, poor excuse for a mother MBM doesn't even give interviews or search or beg for her children back. That's because something else happened. Like I was saying, I can't believe that she's telling her friends whatever she's telling them and going out and putting up missing posters. Well, I guess I wouldn't feel so bad if I knew that she didn't know what Daniel did with the bodies that night. I admit that there's all kinds of stuff that I don't know, and I know where that is. I know the things that I don't know in all of this, by the way. I'm not trying to portray that I know everything at all. But all we need to know is that these son of a bitches are lying. The vast majority of people that are invested in this case believe that. Brandy Lindy, now that we know Kent's involved with a band, we know Jordan is heavily involved with a band, and there's musical references in the background. One could pick that up and think that they all play in the same band or they all play together. Who knows, though? It's not important necessarily that we know, but we can see the connection. The fact that they're going out of the way to simp for people who are so blatantly lying in a circumstance like this tells me the types of individuals that they are. And they're just as deceptive, exploitative, ruthless, sociopaths. Somebody needs to stand up to it as it happens, no matter what happens. Do they have something? Where did that go? The energy they are all expending and lying and trying to cover it up. Well, yep, Chris. They got to manage their lies.
Okay?
Okay.
I went out when they heard them out in the yard. My dog started barking. I opened the door and let my dog out. My dog is penned in. I do not let my dog around Jack and Lily.
Why?
From what I hear through the grapevine, Jack and Lily have not been around animals.
One would think that that's going to be a real problem. First thing that you want to do is normalize your animals around the children. Set boundaries, healthy boundaries, which is something that all of these individuals clearly have problems with. So if you're purposefully keeping away from a stimulation or something that stimulates the dog, it could very well act out and see that as a food source, game source, a source of something to be rough and vicious with, like the bones that you fucking throw it. The strip bones that you throw it when it's hungry. Yeah, Rot. She said her dog didn't like their screaming and carrying on. Right. And she found a reason to complain to Malaya and the kids. Keep it down. You're getting my dog all worked up. I'll sick the dog on you. You don't want to fuck with that dog, kid. I've trained it to hate you. So every time that you hear the kid, she starts screaming and verbally accosting the dog, telling it to shut the hell up, probably smacking it a couple times. You know, so really it's no different in training a dog to hate a certain race, a certain set of people, which is historically true, unfortunately. And it's no different here. Janie is raising a racist dog. She's associating something negative with the interaction between the dog and the children every single time. She's introducing that to us. That's a problem. That's a problem. Anybody else recognize it as a problem? Yeah. It's not like you're trying to chill the dog out. In reality, you want everybody to be happy and live in harmony around your house normally. Not if you're Janie. Brandy, you're thinking there's some projecting through her dog going on? Yeah, definitely as well. Do you suppose the dog was hungry and went for the children? Chris, no. They probably keep the dog hungry all the time to be extra angry. She's even, you see, she's even said that the dog hated the kids in her own little way, or literally. Jeez. Yeah, I couldn't have a dog that didn't like kids, Lindy. It's what it's all about. You want your dogs to protect your kids. Kids should be part of her pack, part of the brood.
When they first came here, I tried to introduce my dog to Jack and Lily, and Lily started to scream because my dog was near her. Ever since that, I've kept my dog away from the kids, Jack and Lily. Thursday, when I opened up the door, Jack and Lily were right beside the playhouse looking for worms under a board. Jack said to me, "Look, Granny, I found a worm. I found a centipede." I said, "Good boy, you keep..."
Now, did you hear all of that? Or did you actually physically see that? So interesting that she's specific to know what exactly they were doing out there as well. Not just seeing them out there doing something. She has something specific at that point in time.
Keep looking. That's when I went over in my front of my RV and started raking the gravel for the swimming pool. Because I was waiting for Daniel to find his tools so he could help me put the top board up on the fence.
Do you guys see what she's doing there? She's taking that opportunity to switch it over and using what Chris McDonough recognizes. It's the SOG situation. When you listen to suspects speak, they want a reason to introduce the thing that they were going to do, to introduce a fantasy in part, to make it easier to blend in the truth to whatever it is that they're going to say. And this pool does it. This reason for raking for a pool and this overemphasize on something, an object that doesn't even exist. So blatantly used and misused and overemphasized by way of Janie that it's definitely cover for some other reason that has to do with all of the traffic probably coming in and out from the hours of 12 and 4, the early wee hours of May the 2nd. Friends, it's 2 hours, 23 minutes. Thank you very much for sticking it out with me. We'll pick it up again tomorrow. And keep an eye out for the uploads. Thank you for the super chats and super stickers, guys. You've been very generous. I love you all. And remember, don't be afraid to be calling this shit out no matter what's going on. The fact that it seems to be, or Derwood and others need to be policed in that sense with a little bit of reality. Should motivate you a little bit. Thank you very much, Shenanigans. Shannon. It's Shannon. She couldn't raise a dog. Imagine her raising a child. Yeah, think about how off she is. It's hard to tell what is genuine and what's not from her, from what she volunteers to tell you. Once you recognize that she's being deceptive, where does it end with her? Until you get on to learn her patterns in that sense. We're getting to learn their patterns of deception, how they lie, what they look like. Oh, Sarah Jane, thank you for the $3 super sticker. I appreciate it. One moment, baby. Guys, I'm going to cut it off and we're going to go have a snack. Thank you for joining me tonight, and we'll be back tomorrow. Continue the shit talk. We'll leave you with some G-Funk.